everyone. Today or this week, we'll start talking about rhetorical appeals. What does this even mean? So, rhetoric is the art of persuading, the art of talking in a way that convinces people, that appeal to people, that delivers a good message, either through writing or through speaking or through drawing or any other means of communication. This is the meaning of rhetoric. Rhetorical appeals means what people use in their communication, in their writing, in their speaking, in their drawing, in their voice, to appeal to others, to deliver their message effectively to others. So, when we talk about rhetorical appeals, it means that all the means, all the devices, and that's why you'll notice that I'll use the word rhetorical appeals and rhetorical devices interchangeably. Okay, so rhetorical appeals or rhetorical devices means all the means people use in order to deliver effective communication. Let's start by showing some examples here. So, if you see this picture or this ad or a part of a commercial, whatever this can be, it's about Coca-Cola and it says here, open a Coke, open happiness. So in this ad, what comes to mind when you see this? What kind of message do you think the creator of this image or this ad is trying to communicate to whoever is going to see this? Take a minute and think about the content here. How does this make you feel? How does it make you does it make you feel thirsty? Does it make you smile? Do you trust the brand because this is an established brand that we all have known for ages? So, what does this make you feel, think, or just reflect? Okay, for example, when you see all this green field here, so and you see the ladybug here, so do you really feel happiness because, oh, that's an open field, it seems like a perfect weather, so Coca-Cola becomes associated with that perfect weather and that feel of happiness? Maybe. So what happens here is the creator of this image or this ad had a specific message that they wanted to deliver to whoever is going to see this. And if you feel and think the exact same feeling and thinking or thought that the creator of this image had in mind, then they had used their devices, their appeals very successfully. If you felt something different, like if you cringed, for example, when you saw this because you don't like Coca-Cola, you don't like soft drinks, you don't like soda, then definitely the message was not delivered to you. And then that person or that creator was not successful in their appeals to you. Let's see another one. Let's look at this old ad. It's about Marilyn Monroe. I don't know how many of you know her because she was a very famous actress in the 50s and early 60s. So here she's talking about, or she's making a commercial or an ad about shampoo. And of course, as you can see her and her beauty and her glamour. She's holding the shampoo bottle in her hand. She has her signature here. You see, she has her hair all done and styled perfectly. So, of course, the message she's driving here is if you use that shampoo, women will have perfect hair like mine. Of course, this never happens, and we all know that. Okay? So here she's not relying on anything. She's just relying on her image as a super beautiful and gorgeous woman with that perfect hair. We don't know much about the product she's advertising here. We don't know whether this was a good product or not, whether this is trustworthy or not. We just know that Marilyn Monroe is just driving that message to everyone. Okay, so she's just relying here on the emotional appeal that it's like, oh, when you see me, you feel like, oh, this is so beautiful and I'd love to have that beautiful hair. So this is more emotional, maybe relying on her image and her reputation and her persona as a beautiful actress and a famous actress. Versus, look at this ketchup advertisement. When you look at this one, the first thing that comes to mind, oh, look at that. You have the tomato slices. It's not like a regular ketchup bottle that we buy from the supermarket. This is more like organic, fresh, natural. So these are the messages that come to your mind. And even the writing, the text on the image, it says, no one grows ketchup like Heinz. So wait a minute. D- is ketchup now a veggie that somebody grows? This is the message that they are trying to drive here, that this is something natural, that Heinz is all natural and it doesn't have anything, it doesn't have preservatives, it doesn't have anything that's bad for your health. So you see, this is just the good thing, and it looks like a tomato and it's made of tomato slices. So perfect. So now they are appealing to your emotions, especially people who prefer organic and natural and no preservatives or real food. So this will appeal very much to them. So each of these ads has appealed to something in you. Some ads made you think, some ads made you feel, some ads made you use your brain, some ads made you use maybe your senses more. And let's look at one last ad. This is a very old one. Okay, so don't laugh. But I chose that for a purpose. So this is a very old car, as you can see. It's advertised by a company that used to be called the Union Automobile Company. And then we have the price, we have information about the car. If you read the description here, it says a strong car of simple construction, double cylinder motor, blah, blah, blah. And then you have some really good facts about the car, how fast it runs, how big it is, the speed, and things like that. So this is all information. These are all facts. So here they are not appealing to your emotions about the car. Maybe yes, you like the picture of the car. It's like, oh, that sounds like, this seems really luxurious and comfortable. So I'd love to buy something like that. Imagine that you are in the 1910s or the 1920s to feel this way, okay? So, but otherwise, it relies more on delivering facts. So each of these ads that we looked at appeals to something in you. Some of them rely on one appeal more than the other. Some combine more than one appeal together. So these are what we call the rhetorical devices or the rhetorical appeals. We have four rhetorical devices or rhetorical appeals. The first one is what we call pathos or the emotional appeal. Something that appeals to your feelings, to your emotions, to your values, to your beliefs. So anything about faith, anything that makes you feel in a certain way. This is pathos or this is emotional appeal. So it appeals to the emotions, your values. What is it that you value in life? What's your belief in life? So anything that appeals to any of these is what we call pathos or the emotional appeal. Let's look at a quick example and then we'll look at more examples later. Bob Dale wants to hurt the elderly by cutting Medicare. Somebody is running for office and this is their message, and the other candidate or the opposing candidate or maybe people from the other party or something, they are trying to just take that person down by talking about what? Talking about what he wants to do to harm or to hurt the elderly. So here they are not talking about facts. We don't know if this is a fact or not. We're not sure yet. But once we see the word hurt the elderly, we all have these emotions and values about our elderly. So we start getting protective, maybe getting defensive. So once we start feeling without much thinking, this means that this is pathos or the emotional appeal. What else can be emotional appeal? Let's look at some of these. If you look at the top picture here of that baby crying, you start feeling, oh, and then you start feeling sad for that baby. If you look at the bottom picture here, they are bathing the dog and they are a family of three, they are happy, they are bathing the dog. So you start feeling like, okay, this is a small, happy family with a dog, and perhaps you can start making some assumptions about their life and they are having a happy life. So images are one of the very important tools that contribute to the pathos or that stir some emotions in you. So anything that appeals to the heart or emotion, anything that draws from spirituality or religious traditions, anything that talks about religion and faith, because that goes directly to our heart and emotions and feelings. So this is pathos. Stories. If you hear somebody telling you, oh, I'll tell you this story, normally you start feeling more than thinking. If you hear a testimonial about somebody or about a product, like those people who come and say, oh, I love that, it made me feel comfortable, or like the one we saw by Coca-Cola is like open happiness. So you expect that once you drink that bottle of Coca-Cola, you'll feel happy right away. Okay. Personal anecdotes or story. Normally, this creates a connection between the reader or and the writer. Once I start reading your story, I feel that connection to you. So this is more emotional appeal. Personal connection, this is what I was just saying. If you read and watch and see something that creates a connection to you, that you feel connected to on the personal level, this means that this is something that's you, the writer or the speaker or the drawer or whoever, have used the emotional appeal to create that connection to you. Powerful words and phrases or images that stir up some emotions in you, like the example we saw on the previous slide about hurt the elderly. Any use of powerful or strong words and phrases and images that make you feel in a certain way, right away, this is an emotional appeal. Sound and voice, like now I'm excited because I'm recording this message to you, so you can hear the excitement and the enthusiasm in my voice. In other times, especially if we had a face-to-face class, you'll see me frustrated sometimes that people are not doing their work, or that the AC is not working in the classroom, or things like that. You can hear it in my voice, and this will make you feel in a certain way. So again, this is an emotional appeal. And then humor, of course, anything that makes you laugh and smile, this is emotional appeal. Now, the next rhetorical appeal, and this is very important, and sometimes this is not easy to get from whatever we're looking at, either a text or an image or a video or an advertisement or anything, is ethos or the ethical appeal. Sometimes we think ethical means comes from ethics, but not necessarily. This means that ethos um, is based on the character and the credibility of the speaker or writer. Let me give you an example. Uh, on the first, before the semester started or right after the semester started, my first video to you was about myself. I was introducing myself. And when I introduced myself, I used ethos. I started talking about my credentials, my position, my degrees, my experience in teaching, writing, um, and things like that. Why did I do that? So I can tell you, I can establish my ethos with you, so you can trust what I'm gonna do, what I'm gonna say as a teacher, as your teacher in this class. If I come in the first week and I start right away talking about the curriculum and the syllabus and the schedule and Slack and Blackboard, and it's like, wait a minute, who are you? We don't know anything about you. Why should we trust you? Why should we know that? How should we know that you are a good teacher or you have good experience? So I established my ethos with you by talking about my credibility, that I have the credentials, I have the degree, I have the experience, I have a good position here at AUM. This means that I'm qualified to teach you. You can trust me. Okay, so let's look at this example here. I'm a husband, a father, and a taxpayer. I've served faithfully for 20 years on the school board. I deserve your vote for city council. Again, this is an example from election campaign. So somebody is running for city council and is appealing to, is establishing his credibility and why people should trust him to run for city council or to be elected for the city council. He's a husband, he's a father, and a taxpayer, so he's a good citizen, and he's committed to a family and he's taking care of his family. But again, this is not enough for him to be on the city council, right? So that's why he added, I have served faithfully. So it's not just that I've served and I served poorly or I have problems while serving. No, I've served faithfully for 20 years on the school board. So if I continued for 20 years on the school board, you can trust me to be serving you or to continue to serve you on the city council. This is someone establishing his credibility, his integrity, his trustworthiness with his audience. Okay, so think of that example and the example I gave you about myself and the video that I shared with you at the very beginning of the semester. Other examples of ethical or ethos is, you see, once you see an image like the top one here, you know that these are engineers. They are wearing the helmets or the protective helmet. They are looking at blueprints or designs. This one down here, right away, we know that she's a scientist or she's a doctor or somebody working in a lab developing some kind of formula, or and of course we see the white coat and right away we understand that this is a scientist or a doctor or some kind of maybe even a lab technician or something. So the clothes, the appearance, again, this is part of establishing the ethical appeal or the integrity and credibility. So the writer's or speaker's credibility, qualifications, character, relevant biographical information. So for example, when I don't know if you have seen this, but in my signature, in my email signature, I put my title, so and my degree, PhD, my position. I'm an associate professor, honors associate professor. So I've taught in the honors program here at AUM. I'm the director of the composition program. So I'm established. This is what we call biographical information. So you know more about me, okay? Use of credible sources. So if I tell you that the provost told us or sent us an email about this problem, then oh, okay, she's using experts' opinions. Or if I start writing and then um, I cite or I give you an example from an article or a website or anything like that, then I'm using other people's opinions. So again, I'm establishing my credibility that I'm not just using any junk information in my lectures or in my classes. Experience and authority. I You feel you can trust that person. When I talk of out of authority, you know that you can trust what I'm saying. So I'm establishing my authority as a professor or as a program director. When I start talking about anything in my program, I introduce myself as a program director. I don't introduce myself necessarily as an associate professor because this is my authority here talking about things I'm doing or changing in my program or things that are relevant to my program. And then strong background in the topic. if I start drawing from the theories I've learned in my graduate program, the research I publish, or the doctor starts giving you scientific facts, then this again establishes their credibility. Something that we've all been dealing with since COVID hit us earlier this year is the problem with science and the lack of scientific information, or the mix of scientific and bogus, what we call bogus science, or like something that's just like common knowledge and something that hasn't been tested scientifically. If I start giving you scientific facts and refer to numbers and statistics and things like that, so I'm showing you that I have good background in this topic. So things about trustworthiness, credibility, expert, reliability, and fairness, these all talk about the rhetorical appeal of ethos or the ethical appeal. The third one, and my favorite one, is the logos or the logical appeal. Some people just once they hear the word logo, they think, oh, logic. Yes, this is part of it, but it's not everything. Remember earlier when we were looking at the pictures and ads and things like that, I told you things that made you think and things that make you feel. If something that right away makes you think, makes you start use your critical thinking and reasoning and use your mind. It's like, I'm not sure I believe this. This doesn't sound right. There is something wrong about this. This means that this is something that's talking to your mind, to your reasoning skills, to your logical thinking. So this means that this is logos, somebody who's appealing to your mind right away. Let's look at this example. Global warming is caused by greenhouse gases being produced by humankind. I'm not talking about the problems of global warming killing animals, because this can be fact, but at the same time can be emotional if you love animals. I'm talking about the cause of global warming, that greenhouse gases produced by humankind. That's it. That's a scientific established fact. So if you want to argue about against that, you have to argue with another fact, not any just assumption or just common knowledge among people. Okay? So anything that appeals to your mind, this is logical. Other examples of that: statistics and research, numbers. These are always things that appeal to your mind because they give you facts. They try to appeal to your brain, not to how you feel about things. So appeal to the mind or intellect, facts, statistics, logical and reasoning statements like, if X and Y are true, then Z is correct. Definitions: if I give you a definition of a term, this means that I'm trying to help you understand, not feel about it in a certain way. Explanation of ideas: if I provide explanation, so I define a term like what I did earlier with rhetorical appeals, and then I start explaining. These are facts, these are logical appeals. Cause and effect: logical reasons and explanations and judgment, whether agree or disagree. These are all things that we use to appeal to the brain. The last rhetorical device, and I know that if you have heard about the previous three in high school and or previously, I don't expect you to have heard about Kairos. And Kairos is very important in this digital age when we have information coming our way all the time. Kairos simply means saying the right thing at the right time. If I if I come today and I start talking about like for example, when we were last week when we were hit by Hurricane Sally, and people started getting worried about what happened during Hurricane Katrina back in 2005 in Louisiana. So bringing that topic back to light and using it to compare the preparations and things like that, this is a chaotic moment to discuss that. But if you start talking about 9/11 in the context of a hurricane, then it's like, okay, what's the connection? This is not the right time to talk about this. So think about it this way. When we say this is a kairotic moment, it means that we are being responsive to whatever is happening outside, to whatever is happening around us. We are talking about appropriate topic for the time and moment that we are in. So when you talk about the right thing at the right time and you are responding to the things happening around you, this is kairos. This is using what we call the kairos appeal. I love this image because it kind of like captures both logos, pathos, and ethos. But unfortunately, it doesn't have kairos. But you know what it means now. So logos, your brain; pathos, your heart; and then ethos here, everything you can see in the appearance, in the pose, in the look. And once you see this picture, what do you think about? I know your answer, but I'm not going to say it. So this is a brief discussion of the rhetorical appeals and how to identify them in reading, in reading any text, in looking at any picture, in looking at commercials on TV, ads or flyers you see around. If you're walking around campus and you see a flyer, and then it's like, this has a lot of information. Then it's facts, it's logical. It's like, oh, I love this picture. This is emotions. It's like, oh, this is coming from um, the learning center. This is ethos because you identify the person responsible for that, and it's like, oh, I know that office and they are doing a great job. Now, briefly, let's talk about your task in this unit. In Unit 2, as I said in the previous videos, your task is to find some place around campus that's going to be the focus of your analysis. Um, One aspect, if you look again at the assignment sheet, you will analyze that space or that place from using two different angles. The first one is the rhetorical appeals. So it's like, how can I do that on a space? For example, if you go to um, a place that it doesn't have the right signs, for example, or the signs are outdated, or they are not clear, then that confuses you. So this means that that place is not using logical appeal very successfully because it doesn't provide enough information. If you go to a building and you don't know which departments, for example, are in that building, which offices are in that building, I'm not sure which direction to take to reach my department chair's office, for example. This means that this building has no ethos. You cannot identify its character or its identity. You see? So we'll talk more about that, but this is one of the things that you will have to look at and try to analyze. Does that color, for example, as we read more about the visual rhetoric, does that color make me feel in a certain way? Do these weird colors we have in different buildings across campus and different spaces, do they make me feel in a certain way? Do they make me feel welcome and appreciated and that I belong to that place, or they are just bland color that I hate to be in a place like this? So these are some of the things that you start thinking about. And between now and the weekend, I'd love for you to start thinking, to keep your eyes open as you walk around campus and you think of what can draw your attention. That is like, I'd love to analyze this and evaluate it in my assignment. On the weekend, we'll start discussing, and you should have picked something for you to analyze. Uh, the discussion post we have this week will bring all these elements together and will help you identify the different rhetorical appeals much better while reading and looking at images and things like that. And then we'll take that to the next level as we start working on our assignment. Hopefully, this has given you a good idea about what rhetorical devices are and what they mean, and now you are ready to start working on Unit 2 work. See you on Slack and let me know if you have any questions about this.